What's up, fine folks? Welcome to episode 28 of Double Tapped. I'm Jay.
It's too many to do on your hands.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Tanner.
Too many to do on your hands. Oh, you're right. I thought you were having a Talladega Nights situation. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands, but then you just trying to do a really quick rapid count.
Yeah, I was trying to do 28.
We did just put out an episode, but technically this is the first episode we're recording after a decent winter break.
Yes, that's true.
So we've had some time to our respective selves, doing some things, making moves. I have to say, this is probably the most divergent we've ever been from a fashion perspective on a given episode of the show.
That's true.
I've been with my girlfriend for a couple days, so I'm in complete loungewear.
Yeah.
Versus you've got this ridiculous but awesome bird sweatshirt.
I look like I'm about to teach art class in 1997. I'm ready to go.
But we're rolling on anyway. We're both comfy.
Yep.
But we're hungry. We're going to be eating after this.
That's true.
We're also thirsty.
Yeah.
And today, we're doing something a little different to open the show. We got some fun energy, and I thought, because I literally just saw these today.
Yeah.
I cracked into our local liquor store and got the Bud Light Hard Soda Seltzer Pack. These are relatively brand new, and we're going to try them all. Today. We're going to try them all.
Do you want to detail now what they are, or do you want to go as
each individual flavor?
Yeah.
First off, we've got Classic Cola. My guess, to imitate the likes of Coke and Pepsi.
Yes.
Next,
Coke and Pepsi.
We have Citrus Soda to imitate the likes of Sprite and 7-Up.
Yeah.
Something tells me these are going to taste nothing like the things that I'm saying.
I'm very curious what they're going to do. Oh,
that's a game changer.
It's dangerous, yeah.
Next up, Orange Soda. Sunkissed. Fanta, you know?
Crush.
And now my only one that I'm a little questionable about.
Oh, okay.
Not in terms of if it's going to be good, but what it's trying to mimic, or what it's going to mimic, is Cherry Cola, which is either like just cherry Coke, or maybe like Dr. Pepper, because people say Dr. Pepper is cherry-ish.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's cheer wine.
Ooh, shout out to North Carolina.
Yeah, maybe they're going for a cheer wine flavor.
All right, do you have a preference as to where we start with
No,
these?
not really.
I just assume we start with the most standard soda.
Okay.
So regular soda.
Yep.
And so this is our first true, what I would call, taste test.
Yeah, we've never done this on the show.
Right.
Oh, he's getting a quaff going.
Smells like nothing, or a little bit of something.
It smells a little bit like Coke.
Well,
whoa, it's like sweeter Coke. That has been sitting out for a little while. There's a flatness to it, I will say.
Well, it just has that, and what I fear from the likes of these is the artificial sweetener taste.
Yeah, the aspartame
that I strongly dislike.
Yes.
And it's not overpowering in this. But you could tell me that this was some like, oh, it's Coke Zero, or like, because when I don't really know like what Diet Coke or those other like
it's cane sugar Coke.
Exactly, something like that, and I could believe it.
I mean, it doesn't taste bad for having alcohol in it.
No.
What percent is it? 5. Okay.
All of these seltzers are 5.
Okay.
So I like that because it lets me standardize. Like, that's not like a variable I have to worry about.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Let's just move into cherry.
Okay.
Since that's
and don't worry, we're not going to waste any of these. We're just trying them all now because it's fun.
Very much so. All right. Cherry cola. It smells cherry-ish. I kind of like the smell.
It does.
See, now that's good.
Whoa.
That's good. I like that a lot. It has that little. It's more Dr. Pepper-y-ish.
Yeah, it's somewhere like if there's a scale.
Yeah.
Where cherry Coke is at one end and Dr. Pepper's at the other, it's probably like 60% of the way to Dr. Pepper.
It's somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. It's honestly more cherry and less cola.
Yes.
It kind of just tastes like a cherry seltzer.
Yeah.
With a little of that, like,
if they called this like black cherry, it would have made.
Which they have those, and it has that, but with a little of that like maltiness.
Yes.
All right.
Good word.
Thank you. Citrus soda. This is the one that, on first glance, I was the most optimistic.
I was gonna say this one excites me the most.
It sounds the most appropriate for a seltzer
and refreshing.
Very much.
I like Sprite a lot. So. Whoa.
Nah. It's fine.
That was like far more flavor than I expected, I guess.
I guess when you drink, because I mean, we've had like lemon and lime like White Claws. At least I have.
Yeah, I have too.
And those are lacking flavor, but that kind of works in their favor.
Right, yeah.
It's sort of like a cheap beer that is borderline flavorless. So in the summertime, you're just having those and whatever.
Yes, yeah.
This would be better if it was tried to do less.
Yes.
I think.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
You could have told me this was like a lemon lime Jones soda.
What in the hell is that?
You've never heard of Jones soda?
I don't think so.
So we used to get them at State a lot. So they're these clear bottles, and the labels are always like black and white, like sort of urban photography.
Okay.
It was very
I think
cool.
I know what you're talking about.
It was very cool when I
actually.
was in like middle school.
That rings a bell.
And they were always like Jolly Rancher levels of intense of just like, this is so sweet. And so when you're a kid, they're awesome, but I haven't had one in several years.
All right. Uno Mas, orange soda.
The orange soda.
The second most logical one to turn into a seltzer, but we'll see.
Shout out to Keenan and Kel. I think we both just did the same head tilt.
Well, there's a weirdness at the end.
It's like Tumsy almost or something. It has like a chalkiness.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
There's like a chalky aftertaste. That's weird.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know.
None of the other ones had that, right?
No, this one just has a very distinctly weird aftertaste. The upfront taste is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. That's strange.
All right, gut power rankings.
Yeah.
For me, cherry cola.
Cherry
number
Cola's
one.
Number
one.
Easily. I did not see that happening.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go the citrus 2.
Okay.
This at 3. Regular cola at 4. Something just still about the idea of just cola seltzer turns me off.
I'm gonna try the regular cola again.
Yeah, that's true. I need to come back to it. Actually, I take it back.
I was gonna say I think this one might go higher for me.
I'm putting the orange in last.
Yes, I think I might go as far as like pure drinkability goes. Cherry cola, citrus, orange.
I wouldn't argue too hard with that
because the citrus and the orange are so intense.
Sure.
That I think the other two are just going to be easier to drink.
Yeah, that's true.
More quantities of it.
And like the sweetness, the faux sweetness, I think works better with like trying to go for the cola taste.
Yes.
Versus I'm like, with these, you just don't make them sweet. Like,
right, yeah.
You know, there's no need for them to be sweet. Most seltzers aren't, but
yeah.
There's so many packs at this point. They're trying to literally throw every flavor combination in the book at us.
What was it you said when you said the picture? You're like, these motherfuckers are trying to kill us.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said.
A good description.
Because every single time we see a new one, like, well, we gotta get it.
Gotta try those. Yeah, genius.
Shout out to our friend Skinny. Well, we're gonna tell some stories here shortly.
Yes.
We had the Bud Light Sour Pack, watermelon flavored, which I'm officially crowning thus far is the best seltzer. I think it's my favorite one I've ever had. I wouldn't disagree with
it. It was dope enough to warrant, like, you could excuse buying the rest of the sour pack, which was pretty mid overall, just by grabbing the watermelon.
Those were sick.
Those were so good. They should sell them separately.
All right. And now that our formal taste test is out of the way, Tanner,
yes.
What have you been playing these last few weeks?
I've been dipping my toes in a lot of waters.
Yeah.
So the big game that we haven't talked about yet that I have played, I would say maybe half of, I have no idea how far I am into this game, is Inscription.
Sure.
This is the game that I texted you about that I would describe, if you have no idea what this is, as imagine if Slay the Spire played more like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or apparently it compares pretty well with Magic as well. I have no experience with Magic. Played more like Yu-Gi-Oh! But had like horror undertones. And also, I can now reveal that had a little bit of like Stanley Parable meta-ness going on.
Interesting.
Which I kind of knew that was coming. So this is by the same guy who made the game Pony Island. If you know about it, is a very meta game within a game type of thing. It's very strange. I never finished it, but I did like it. So this is the second game by that. I can't remember if I think it's just one person, but if not, by that studio. And the gameplay is phenomenal. This is already just rocketing up my Game of the Year list, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point in the future.
Very shortly.
Yeah.
In the future. But
the story is cool. The horror stuff is genuinely like unsettling, but not in a way that's like too spooky. The gameplay is dope. It's so fun to play, and it's got a lot of that one more run ability in it.
Yeah.
Especially because the more that you play, the more the game encourages you kind of, I don't want to give away too much, but sort of going outside the bounds of what you think is possible in the first part of it. And I have no idea what I'm in for in the next half of the game. Like, it's kind of switched flows a few times on me now, and I love that. Yeah. And it always keeps everything fresh, and it's one of the more mind-boggling experiences to come out, and I'm really into it.
So that's it? That's the one you want to
No.
I know you want to alternate?
Yeah, we can go back. We can alternate, yeah.
And pretty much the only other thing I would say, I've got 3 that I'm going to talk about. The first, Call of Duty. We played a lot more Call of Duty.
Oh, that's true.
I'm approaching 2nd Prestige, so I've played a fair amount.
Yeah.
Boosted my KD up even more from our prior episode. You know, got my hands on those Christmas noobs. You love to see them come flooding in.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, still really digging Vanguard. It's not like a runaway, like, oh, greatest Call of Duty of all time contender or anything, but it just scratched the itch because we skipped last year. So still playing it very regularly, a few matches a day or every few days, something like that.
Yeah.
Really dig Vanguard. So glad to be back.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else new that I've played. Did we talk about me beating Sayonara Wild Hearts? No, because I did that over Christmas break. So when I went home, I was like trying to have a couple smaller games to knock out, just for, you know, my mom goes to bed so early and I'm up for 4 or 5 more hours. I'm like, okay, what can I play in this time period? So I finished a game that I had started way back in Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is the sort of rhythm-based, arcadey kind of shmup, I guess, if you want to call them that, shoot 'em up. It's pretty good. I will say it gave me motion sickness a couple of times when I played it, and I kind of had to play it in smaller bursts. Sure. It is very overstimulating, and sometimes it's in a cool way, sometimes it's a little too much for me, but I think this is a worthy play. I will say I know that it's on Apple Arcade as well, because I dipped my toe into that, because...
Via necessity?
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Which means that's part of our later segment as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And so I guess I'll just talk about what I've played on Apple Arcade later.
Okay, sure.
But I know it's on there, and if you have that, it's definitely worth a play there. Do you have anything else?
My next one, I played and completed Celeste.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I was so excited when you texted me about this.
I was kind of thinking about this on the way over here because I knew I was going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Celeste is one of those games that reminds me that I like platformers more than I think I do. I don't play platformers too often.
Right.
But this one had such a unique speed. You're dead on about the music. Music's rad.
It's so good.
And this is, you hate to compare games to, like, you know, this is very generic comparison, but comparing things to like Souls games.
Right, the Dark Souls of platformers.
But you sort of wish when you're playing Souls that you had the opportunity to really quickly pick up where you left off and try again, and you fail. And those games, depending on the situation, either set you back very far. Sometimes you get lucky though, and there's like a checkpoint that's very recent.
Yeah,
I love that this game was very challenging at times.
Oh yeah,
but lets you just crank out attempts with such rapidity.
Yes,
that you just so like, oh, I'm literally just not going to stop until I beat this right now. Like,
right.
It felt weird to put down the game in the middle of like a stage. Because you get to a room and you're like, okay, I'm trying to figure this out, the best strategy to go about it. And I'm like, well, it just should take me a few more tries and blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't put the game down until I had beaten a level completely, and then I would come back to it later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really dug it. I appreciated the story of, you know, the sort of duality and, you know, mental health, you know, themes that it brought in. I really appreciated that, but the meat of this game to me was just a really, really awesome platformer with some really cool mechanics, the speed and kineticness that I look for in the platformers that I do play.
Yeah, so, no, this I'm so glad that you played it because it's honestly probably one of the best pure platformers of the last decade or so. I'm with you on everything you said there. The music is so good in that. In a similar, this game compares to Hotline Miami pretty well, where it does have that sort of die, try again, just like throw yourself at the wall enough times to get through kind of thing, but also that the music plays, and the music is so good that you don't get sick of restarting.
Sure.
That it is just, okay, I'm just bopping to this track, let's go, I need to get through. Have you tried any of the extra stuff?
And that was what I was going to say. I have not yet really dipped my toes into a lot of the ancillary stuff.
Yeah.
Either it unlocked the like stage 9 or whatever, which is like the heart of the mountain.
Yes.
I don't really know what that is yet. I walked up to it and they're like, "You're not ready for this."
Yes.
And it kind of felt like getting to like the end of like old Pokemon games. It's like, "Oh, you haven't completed the Pokédex yet."
It is kind of similar.
So that sort of thing. So I don't know what lies beyond in there. But I did over the course of the playthrough like find a couple of like the B-side tapes.
Yeah.
I think I tried one of those and I was like, okay, I see what we're doing here. This is a step up. And then I see on the trophy list that there are also C-sides.
Yes. So, so the game is structured, all of the levels are sort of your A-sides. Then you have B-sides, which are shorter but harder.
Yeah.
And then you have C-sides, which are even shorter and even harder. Some of which you kind of have to... So I could be wrong here, but this game... I think originally only released with A and B sides, and then when it got like whatever patch and it finally came to console and all that, it had C sides, some of which incorporate speed running techniques and are some of the hardest things I've ever done in a game. And yeah, it's a grind, but it's worth it. It's really fun.
And I love the way it feels where some stages, even in the normal playthrough, like you're like, okay, I have to chain a very specific series of commands to survive this stage. And when you finally do that, it really does give you a feeling of like accomplishment.
Oh, sure.
Like, that took some skill that I honestly didn't know I had, and then you do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Celeste. I think I texted you my like gut punch like review score, and I gave it like an 8.5. And I'm like, this is a damn fine game.
Yeah.
Not my like kind of game that I would typically like play regularly for enjoyment, but one that is great to just sprinkle in to break up the monotony of my open world action shooters, all my normal stuff.
It's a wonderful change of pace.
Yeah.
And shout out to that team who also made Towerfall.
And it's clear like some of that DNA is still in there. Like once I really started getting into it, the like sliding on walls and jumping off like feels mechanically very much like Towerfall.
Yeah. In some ways Towerfall almost feels like a proof of concept for Celeste. Okay, other than that, I think I've been playing more Hades. I finished my first couple of runs on PlayStation. I'm going to try to at least get a run completed with each weapon. I don't know if I'm going to go for the platinum yet, but it has sort of become my podcast game.
Sure.
Which I love it for. In 2K, I'm just going to give you all a quick update because I did finish that ridiculous set of Luca checklists. So I have Diamond Luca now, which is insane. And then lastly, I played maybe about an hour and realized I wasn't in the right mood for it, but did enjoy Abzu. Oh. Which is I think it was a PlayStation Plus game at one point.
Maybe.
It is the, swimming underwater kind of journey-esque game. Very chill, very like not mindless, but one of those sort of I can just completely zone out type of games, which is nice. I was too tired when I started it, and I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I have to stop now. But I do think that game could serve a really nice purpose if you do want something very relaxing and kind of just to unwind. It could be really good.
Yeah. And my last game that I've still only played very briefly, but it's another return to a series that I have not touched a long time, and I can only play this game because of something that I acquired over Christmas break, which we will talk about. But I've played some Halo Infinite.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? I've played a bit of it too over the break.
On my device, runs like a dream.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I played like a few matches the other night, and I was just... And I love the sort of dichotomy between Halo and Call of Duty, where Call of Duty sort of tries to make you immersive in the feeling of being at war.
Yeah.
Whereas Halo kind of just tries to make the most video gameiest shooter ever.
Yeah.
Like, you're just in a little arena. It's like, oh, and here's, you've got weapons scattered around. Like, just the different tones of the two is really nice, because it really does drive home that you're playing as something different, that it is a different experience. You can play on one day Call of Duty and the next day Halo, and it doesn't just feel like you're playing a couple of shooters. You're playing very different games.
Yes. Yeah, I like having them both in tandem for that exact reason.
Yeah, and I was happy, and I want to play some multiplayer with you sometime when we get the chance, or whoever else.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm down to get back into the Halo ranks. I'm not nearly as good at Halo.
Oh, that's it takes some getting used to.
Stylistically, it is not as much my forte, but I respect it for that, and I still enjoy it very much. So, yeah, still very early, barely played any of it. Want to get into the campaign here pretty soon.
I do too, yeah.
But, yeah, looking forward to more of that.
Which I'm wondering, I know that they don't have it on launch, but they said it's coming. I'm wondering when they're going to release the co-op for the single player. Because that, to me, is what Halo single player is you and a buddy on a couch going through missions. Sure. I've played through the Halo 3 campaign like 4 or 5 times probably, and I don't know that I've ever played it alone. So I hope they release that, because then we could go through that. That would be fun. Yeah, what is your multiplayer mode of choice in Halo? Because that's something I think that they do really well, is they differentiate between the modes very, very well.
I mean, my Call of Duty DNA just leads me to play Slayer a lot.
Yeah.
I do really dig Capture the Flag. And I like when I get the opportunity, the really zany
your
Halo.
oddballs.
Yeah, I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Call of Duty intermittently brings back Prop Hunt.
Right.
Like, I love playing Prop Hunt.
Yeah.
So I like that Halo sort of leans into that a little more. So when those playlists come around, I'm into those sorts of things.
See, I always loved SWAT, which is now called Tactical Slayer, I think. And that is sort of probably where I live most in Halo multiplayer. Sure. And you might dig that as well, because it is a little bit quicker reaction time. You know, if you get a headshot, they're dead kind of thing. Oh. As opposed to normal Halo, which Slayer, it takes for fucking ever to kill somebody. You're just sitting there just like peppering shots into them, and they just eventually die. But yeah, I really love SWAT. And I like the new Fiesta mode, which I think is new to this game. I missed a couple of Halos, but which is sort of your whatever they call the mode where you get 2 random guns.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that, but I think there's only a set of random guns that you get, but they're always paired together. So, like, if you have a shotgun, that means you have the sniper or whatever. I think that's how it's set up.
Sure.
But that's a really fun mode to just kind of warm up and dick around in. So it's very versatile for a multiplayer, especially because you can play it for free, which is nice. Which is incredible.
And we'll get to some other things that we'll be able to play for free here pretty soon.
Ooh.
We got a few news stories.
Okay.
Just a few.
Yeah.
The first, PlayStation VR 2 has been formally revealed.
Oh, I didn't see this.
With minimal other details, probably because literally all that is like, we're making PlayStation VR 2.
Okay.
They didn't show the headset. They didn't do anything like that. So it was very much just more of an announcement to generate some buzz, and that was about it. And I have no buzz. Yeah,
I don't really care. I mean, good for the people who like PSVR, I guess. It would take quite a lot to convince me to buy VR at this point, and I don't think it would be for PlayStation. Sure. I think I would buy a PC VR headset.
I would buy something wireless.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure the implication was with PSVR 2. I think a story a while back implied that it would still be wired, which, not into that.
Yikes. Yeah. Which you need so much to be able to even do VR. Yeah. Like, you need enough space, and you need wall space for the cameras if it's wireless, and all that sort of stuff. So, to me, it's too much of a hassle, but cool for the people who want it.
Yeah. Next up, Mario Kart 9 reportedly in development.
I saw this, and the headline that was going around was Mario Kart 9 in development with a new twist coming to the series. And the quote tweets to that were amazing. Yes. It's like, Mario can finally say fuck, and like all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
What would you like to see? Is there an ideal sort of thing to bring to Mario Kart that you'd love to see?
I don't know, because I'm very sporadic with my participation in Mario Kart. It's always been the party game gathering kind of thing only. I don't know that there's much more I would want for them to do. Maybe other than kind of what they just did with Mario Party, and maybe just bring back some more like retro maps, like fully realized modern power.
That would be cool. They did a little bit of that with 8, but it would be cool to say like, we have every map that we've had, for what it's like, do the Smash thing, right? Yeah. We have everything.
Or maybe incorporate some like more mini games, something like like a bumper car style mini game, something like that.
Well, there's the
battle mode.
There's the balloon bursting one. Yeah,
there's that one too.
I don't know if that is battle mode or not, but that would be cool. I just wonder what you could bring to it, because it's kind of, Mario Kart is what it is.
Exactly.
I wouldn't hate like a double dash type thing again, where you have 2 racers instead of 1. Like, that's kind of fun if they had that mode. But yeah, I mean, I will buy whatever Mario Kart they put out. It's one of the just easiest purchased, this is always going to be fun with a group of people type games. So I'm pumped for it.
And then our last story here, a story that has only recently become relevant to me.
Okay.
January's Xbox Game Pass update.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get a lot more Game Pass coverage now.
Includes Outer Wilds.
Awesome.
The Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy.
I saw
Thank
this.
God I don't have to pay for it.
Still probably not gonna play it.
No, I'll play it now.
Oh, will you?
It's
Okay.
free. I'll play it.
Oh yeah,
I'll try
yeah. Okay,
it.
all right.
And Drinkbox's new game, Nobody Saves the
Oh
World.
shit, that's gonna be a Game Pass game. That's
so people
awesome.
are talking like this is one of the best Game Pass update months like ever.
Yeah, that's sick. I'm pumped for that game. You know how much I love Drinkbox.
Yes, and I'm into it as well.
Yeah.
The idea of like an action RPG from those folks sounds cool.
Every game they've put out has been dope. So I hope that's as good. You and I have been dipping more and more into the Game Pass world. I got a brand new Xbox controller.
I did as well. It's blue.
You didn't go for the electric
I did
Volt.
not.
It's so bright.
It is very bright.
I already have a blue one, but yeah, I love the Xbox controller. I'm a full in on Game Pass now. And is that our last news story?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, yeah, I'll participate and try Mass Effect.
Sure.
Just get the haters off my back.
Yeah.
But then I've never played Outer Wilds.
No one has ever hated us for that take, but I love that we act like people.
I want to be like the enemy number one of the internet for our takes on Mass Effect and The Witcher. Like I want you to hate us for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Outer Wilds is a game that I've only seen a little bit about, and sort of I understand the concept very vaguely.
Yep, same.
But literally, I read, I think Kotaku's rundown of these games that are coming to Game Pass, and someone was just like, "This is one of those games that the less you know when you start playing it, the better."
Awesome.
So I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, same. It's I think because it came out in 19.
I think it's about 2 years old. Yeah.
I think it got like Game of the Year buzz. Like
some people
love that game.
Yeah.
So any game that gets that much hype, I'm excited to try for free.
Yeah.
Basically.
But yes, that is it for the news.
Okay.
Which means we're on to our big topic, which I've just called Holiday Story Time.
Yeah.
Because we both had some stories that are I've got one that's video game related, so it's somewhat on topic. But
okay, yeah.
We also have some stories that just ought to be told for posterity.
Sure. So this is our holiday catch up. Basically, here's what we've been doing for the last 4 weeks. We were off, I think,
roughly.
It's just plan for that every year that we're going to take around that time off, because between us having to go to about 15 different families and all that, like in New Year's and work and stuff.
Everyone's schedules just become completely in flux during those few weeks.
True. But we're back.
But the first one that I have, and I tried to do these somewhat chronologically.
Okay.
And I've just titled this, No Way Home and the Fastest Pizza Consumption of All Time.
We haven't told this story on the
pod.
pod.
And we have to.
Yeah, we do.
So, December 17th comes around.
Yeah.
We're all jazzed to go see Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes.
We all gather. We all depart. The movie time was at 7 o'clock that evening.
Yes.
We leave to go to where we're going to go see the movie, and it takes us maybe 45 minutes to get there, and then we walk over to go get pizza nearby.
Okay, so that is your all's perspective. So there was a group of
true.
like, how many of us were there? 7? 8?
I think it was 8 total.
Yeah, 8. And so I worked near the pizza place we were going to. And so I was like, I'll go reserve a table as soon as I get out of work. My bosses are both super into Marvel, so they were really cool about it. They were like, you leave at 4:45 today, go get your table, make sure you get pizza, and make sure you make the showtime. It's like, cool. So I leave, I go sit at the restaurant, and one by one, our friends sort of trickle in over the course of probably an hour. And that's just my perspective of me just chilling there. Go ahead.
So, we arrive a car of 4, the last ones to arrive.
Yeah.
We walk over. We get in there, and it's 5:35-ish, I think, when we walk in.
Probably around 5:30. Yeah.
So we're there with you. We're at the table. Again, showings at 7, places less than 5-minute walk away.
And not packed at all.
Not packed. We go ahead and, y'all have had a beer or whatever. We're ordering drinks, and we just like, you know what? Let's decide on our pizza, put in that order. All is well. It's like 5:45 at this point. We're like, pizza will get here in 20 minutes. We'll eat and we'll be gone. We'll get there right a little bit early to the movie.
Yeah.
Some time passes. It gets to be about 6:15 before we start to go into urgency mode.
Yeah,
is what I would call
everybody
it.
is slowly getting antsier and antsier.
And I've been antsy the whole time.
Yeah, I've never seen you this frazzled in my life. So I have to say that, like, you know, some of us are talking like, man, I wish our pizza would come out. And I feel Jay, first of all, who, you know, we always normally get a beer wherever we go. Jay is only drinking water so that he doesn't have to pee during the movie.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing strategy.
Half a small cup of water at this restaurant.
Anything. So, and Jay is all the way at the end of the table, and I could just see him just like
I'm pretty sure I was like bent over, like elbows on the table for like 30 minutes without like. I was just like, we need to do something. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah. So we luckily got one of our friends to basically talk to the waitress and we were very aware that we were going to come off like assholes.
She was the kindly Karen of the situation.
Yes, she was very nice, and she was like, "We know that you're busy. Like, we just have a show time. Can we go ahead and get our boxes and our check?" Because the plan was at 6:15 or whatever, when the pizzas hadn't gotten there, to basically just put the pizzas in the boxes, put those in a car, go see the movie, and then eat afterward. Basically.
Whatever we had to do.
Yeah, we were just trying to prepare for all situations. So she comes back with the boxes, and then what? 5 minutes later,
less. Like it was very shortly after she brought the boxes and the check.
Yeah, so she brings all that stuff and then brings the pizzas.
Yeah, the pizzas arrive,
and
that was at like 6:30.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah,
6:25 to 6:30.
Right. So we should describe how the pizzas were split up. So she told us, which I agree with. We all were going to get, like, a few of us were going to get small pizzas, and I think a couple people were splitting a large. And she told the ones of us who had small pizzas, hey, just split larges with this other person. You'll both get more pizza and it'll be cheaper. Yeah. Great. Which a few people theorized made it take longer, which I don't know that I agree with.
That was my theory.
Okay, I don't know if
I was as paranoid as paranoid could be.
Everybody was just stressed, and we're like, what did we do wrong? So I had half a large pizza to myself. And then a couple of the couples had half of large pizzas.
We had just one large pizza. I think
you had one large, okay.
There were 3 large pizzas, plus an order of wings.
Right, yeah. I forgot about wings.
These are like big pizzas.
Yeah.
You say large, these are like 16.
Yeah, like they were the size of the width of the table, basically.
Yeah.
And we all kind of just silently know our goal, which is to destroy these pizzas.
They arrived at such a time where it's like, if we eat these really fast, we can eat them here.
Yes.
Instead of having to do the backup plan and take them somewhere.
Right. We all had our checks already, so we could pay while we eat. And
in fact, we had them put make it one check, and then one of our friend Brent just paid the check, and we all Venmo'd him.
We Venmo'd him back.
Just, again, for expediency's sake.
We were trying to be as efficient as possible. Yeah. And yeah, so we all just silently start eating. I have never eaten a pizza that hot or that quickly in my life.
It was incredible.
I was sitting there like, just eating and trying to breathe and cool it down. What was the official runtime?
It was like 6 minutes.
That we had eaten what, like
all of it?
Oh,
like almost all of it.
Yeah. It was
there was like a slice left that someone was still nibbling on.
Yeah, we ate like 90% of these pizzas in
certainly less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
Like.
To the point where the server, this is the best part to me. The server,
because that proves how much of a feat this really was.
The server comes back to our table, and she's just looking at her check or whatever, and she's like, "Is y'all's pizza?" Oh my God! Just is shocked at the devastation in front of her with these pizzas. I think she said, "Who starved you all?" or something.
Who starved you all?
Like, she was absolutely flabbergasted by our speed in pizza eating.
Which, if we had not made her aware of the situation, she would have thought we were like genuinely like psychopathic with how we ate these pizzas. And then now on several of our phones lives 2 immortal pictures of like our friend Skinny, his girlfriend, and Tanner,
and me. Yeah.
In the wake of this, ridiculousness.
Yeah.
My favorite one of which, like, one of them is like you all sort of like posing like, hey, look at what the hell we just did.
Right.
But my favorite one is like you were like in the process of getting up.
I was getting up from the table.
But you're sort of like hunched over like as you're getting up, and it almost looks like you've been like physically assaulted by all this pizza.
I look like I could not move from the position I'm in. I look like an elderly man just trying to like brace himself and not fall down from all the eating.
Like, and then we spend the whole walk over there, which is not very long, obviously, and it was raining.
Yeah, it was.
But we were just like, how did we just do that? Like, we were like in awe of ourselves.
Marveling in our own feet. Yeah.
Marveling.
Thanks.
The other addendum to that is as we were walking over there, like one of our friend's little brothers was with us.
Oh, yeah.
And I remarked, because I was like, I don't know if we need masks. Like, does everybody have a mask? And then he's like, I'm good, because he was wearing a Spider-Man mask.
Yeah, he was like, I have mine.
I was like, touche. Yeah,
it was pretty slick.
But yeah, and then Spider-Man was wonderful.
Oh, so
Loved
good.
it.
Awesome.
I won't spoil anything here,
Yeah.
but go see it if you haven't.
Yeah, it's great.
My next story, and if you can think of another story that doesn't involve me,
No.
feel free to chime in. But
I'm chilling.
the next one is titled simply "The Boiled Egg Tailgate."
Wait. I have the full title.
That's what I was going to say. I looked in my notes and I had, and I'll give a brief, summary of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Basically, it was us two, 3 others, my girlfriend, another couple friend of ours,
Yeah.
at a lake house for New Year's.
Yes.
And that's the summary. And I was going on a grocery run at one point, and I don't understand. I don't remember how we got to calling it what we started calling it.
I don't either.
In my notes app, I had the grocery list, and my grocery list was titled "The Boiled Egg Tailgate." But now Tanner has the full title.
So the full title of, I guess, the weekend, was the the Duke's Mayo Double Bounce Balls Back Boiled Egg Tailgate.
Yeah. So we were intermittently watching football as well, and like the Duke's Mayo Bowl happened, and if you didn't see the head coach of South Carolina football, Shane Beamer, get a Gatorade cooler of mayonnaise dumped on his head, you should go find it.
It was so gross.
It was great.
It was funny.
It looked like it was a consistency of like buttermilk or heavy cream.
Yeah.
They watered
it down,
which
some.
Makes it a little worse.
Yeah, it might be grosser.
Yeah. Like, I would rather it just have been like a giant mayonnaise plug like coming out and like hitting him in the head. But yeah, so we had the Duke's Mayo, whatever the hell he just said,
Double Bounce Balls Back Boiled Egg Tailgate.
Which was just a weekend of just stupidity,
shenanigans.
We didn't go out really. We went out the first night. We went to a brewery, we went to a restaurant.
Yeah,
and we
very
went back.
chill.
And then the second day, which was New Year's Eve,
yes,
we all just laid low at the lake house, chilled, had some drinks, played some games.
Yeah.
But it was a very low key. But that didn't stop us from like hysterically laughing like 40% of the time.
Everything.
At everything.
So I have a list.
Oh, the Who Said It list?
Of things that were quotes from this. Now, I don't know if any of these things are going to be funny if you weren't there.
Yeah, they might.
I'm just going to preface that.
Yeah.
But, so, for some reason, Jay's girlfriend got really pissed.
Yes.
That the chicken was in the same drawer as the veggies.
Yeah, I put several packs of raw chicken tenderloins in what was dubbed the veggie drawer or veggie tray.
The veggie tray.
Veggie tray.
But they were in a bag. Like, they weren't going to
they were wrapped up and in a bag.
So she just exclaimed, "Who put the chicken in the veggie tray?" To which, for some reason, my brain was like, "Who put the chicken in the veggie tray? Who put the chicken in the veggie tray? Who put the chicken in the veggie tray?" I'm gonna guess it was Jay. And that killed pretty much everybody for a second.
We sang 3 verses. You started it, and then me and Skinny chimed in, and we sang loudly. And this is like a condo situation, so there are like units around us, but no one was there, so we were just like completely uninhibited when it came to our volume.
Yeah.
So we loudly exclaimed like 3 like rounds of this song as my girlfriend just sits there with the fridge open, and she's just like
collapsed in the floor.
Yeah, we're almost singing this at, or at least I'm singing this at her.
It was a little bit of like a hazing situation. Yeah. There was, for some reason, so we have found that our buddy Skinny, who, has he been on the podcast?
No.
He will be at some point, I'm sure. He has this thing where he just has a phrase that he will always repeat.
Yeah, and I once dubbed this, he has a pressure release valve.
Yeah, which is a great way to...
And the phrase changes every day. Like, but he always has something that he's going to say every 15, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Just as like a compulsion.
Yes. So the first night when we went to the brewery and walked over to dinner, which was one of the funniest walks I've ever been on, we all just kept saying, "It's not that bad."
Yeah.
That's not that bad, because the beer was cheap, or cheaper than we expected. So we're like, it's not that bad. And then for some reason, everybody said it.
I remember you all saying that, and I was behind you. And I think I was the first one who like said it unnecessarily.
Yeah, and then it just kept going.
And it just rattled off from there.
Me, you, and Skinny kept saying, "Now that's a knife."
I've said that like 5 times since. Now that's a knife. Like, in it.
Yeah, oh, in it.
Now that's a knife in it. Like, we were, what? Why?
So
I don't remember.
So Skinny's girlfriend was cutting cheese, and she had like a little paring knife.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Do you want a better knife?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I grabbed one, and it was huge, and so I just went, "Now that's a knife," and handed it to her, and that just became what we were saying.
That's just fun to say. Now that's a knife.
Now that's a knife.
Saying knife like that is just fun.
2 words for you. Mucus plug.
Yeah, this is a little disturbing, and I don't even know if we want to get into the full context of why this became like a meme of the weekend.
I mean, I'm sure several people who listen know what a mucus plug is.
Yeah, those familiar with, I guess, the female anatomy.
With childbirth. We can say childbirth.
Just know that we learned an uncomfortable amount about one of our party members' mother's
party members is great.
Mucus plug.
Yes, yeah. She knew the date her mother's mucus plug broke or released. I don't know what the verb is.
Loose, like on the terms here.
Yeah, because apparently it was some significant date. But the funniest part of that was when she was talking about the mucus plug. Our buddy Skinny was like, "Does she mean her cherry?" Which was so funny.
Oh man! And then how many things got like improperly referred to as mucus plugs?
Oh yeah. Well, he kept
weekend.
saying it wasn't mucus plug that he would say. What was the thing he would say? It was like mucus something.
Valve?
Mucus valve. That's it. He kept calling it a mucus valve. Us just mumbling "Levitating" by Dua Lipa.
Yeah, that was in the car, I think.
Yes.
Where like
and
"Levitating" was on the radio.
Yeah.
And we just started singing it, but completely incomprehensibly. We're just like
that was that. We did like the whole song.
We did.
So stupid. I'm not gonna drop the town name, but just at some point we said we extracted the most comedy out of the town possible.
It's a small town, but yeah. Because it's not a place where there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that made it that much funnier that we were like one group that was walking around this city square where there was no other people.
No.
Laughing our asses off at just all these little stupid things.
One of which was there was a building called Hemispheres Limited, and Skinny was just like, "Since when are hemispheres limited?" He's like,
just like that kind of stuff.
That's going to do something to the radius or something like that.
And he's like, "I should have said diameter."
Yeah, he got so mad at himself. One of my favorites was we were coming in to eat. You had fried chicken, and we were all like coming in from the outside. We'd been playing beer pong or whatever, and Skinny like reaches down to touch something. And then acts like he's hurt.
Yeah, he like recoils and like there's a very like almost like scared look on his face, and he's like holding his hand.
He's like, "Fuck!"
And then we sit there in silence for 5 seconds, waiting for him to explain what happened.
We're all just looking at him like, make sure he's okay, and he's just like, "Be careful, y'all. That cheddar's sharp." And we just lost it.
Well, I went to my knees almost on that.
Well, because we thought he burned himself on the chicken or something. And it was a joke. Your girlfriend in beer pong said "shit me fuck," which was an oft quoted thing. Skinny started a story with, "I used to be weird in high school," and just paused for like a long amount of time. His girlfriend called herself a large mom multiple times for some reason,
because she was talking about she has large mom, like a large mom attitude.
Yeah. Like she can get very mom. Yes.
Not like size mom, but
right,
she just gets very mom. She's like, "I'm a pretty large mom," is what she said at one point.
I don't think I can say one of them.
I don't know. I'll leave it to your discretion.
Hold on, I'm gonna show you.
There's no telling.
It's that one.
Well, that was you up to you.
I mean, I don't mind to say it.
Because you technically didn't say it.
Yeah, I caught myself, and then we were laughing about it. So there was those pictures. This is the weirdest episode of the podcast we've done.
It's awesome.
There were the pictures that circulated that weekend of Jeff Bezos shirtless on like his boat, on his yacht. And there was some woman with him like spraying him down. And I showed them.
Yeah, you're like, "Have you seen the picture of shirtless Jeff Bezos?" And I was like, "No."
So I showed Jay and Skinny.
And then I was like, "Who is the woman?"
And here's what I did. I was like, I almost said "some slut." We all just started dying laughing in the phrase "some slut" because we call someone a slut. you mentioned that because there's a lot of speed bumps in this little pavilion.
There is.
You're like, I think this is my most hated speed bump in the world.
Like one individual speed bump.
And Skinny was like, I don't know my most hated speed bump. Which was great.
That's one of the better comebacks I've ever experienced.
And then I left this one for last because it is kind of game related and it's the two of us. We were playing Scattergories.
Oh yeah.
And there was if you don't know what Scattergories is, it's a board game where someone rolls a letter and then there is a list of prompts that you have to come up with, like name of a book, bird name, that all have that letter at the start of it.
Yeah.
So we get the letter G. And the prompt is something spicy, I think.
It was.
And so people go around, I think someone said like garam masala.
Which also, during the process of us writing down our answers, we exchanged like a look. Because there was that prompt and another one was like a food ingredient, like something like that.
Yeah.
And we're like the biggest foodies of our group.
Sure.
So once I think both of us saw both of those prompts, we were like... looked at each other and it was almost like, don't you do it. I don't know what you're going to do. Yeah. But don't put what I'm going to put.
I think at one point when you were writing, you're like, I'm scared of what Tanner's going to put. And I was like, dude, I'm the same way. So someone said like garam masala. Someone said like ghost pepper. Jay and I both put gochujang, which is a Korean chili paste. We have to be the first people ever to both put gochujang in a category of Scattergories.
Probably. Probably.
And we were absolutely
unless Scattergories is just huge in Korea.
It may be true. Yeah, that's very possible. But it was so funny.
That was truly a... And it's not the one that I thought. I put ghee for like the ingredient, and I'm like, ooh, he might put that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, in my head, I was like, no one's going to put gochujang.
Yeah, same here.
And sure enough.
Of course we did.
So that was the boiled egg tailgate, Which
I think I remember why it was called the boiled egg tailgate, because we were making our grocery list and someone mentioned like, do we want eggs for breakfast? And I was like, nah, man, we just got to boil a dozen eggs and just eat them. Like everybody loves a boiled egg tailgate. And then that was how it became a thing.
Lord. All right.
What a trip.
So I kind of lied. This is out of chronological order slightly because these two go back to Christmas.
Okay.
The first one, and I'll just give a brief rundown and why I was teasing all my stuff playing Halo earlier. I got a PC finally.
Yay!
I got an HP Omen.
Yep.
Pre-built. I had sent you one, and you're just like, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah,
basically for what I wanted.
Yeah, it wasn't what you wanted.
And you sent me a model back that was just a few $100s more expensive, but at that point, I was sort of in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whatever one I need, I'm just going to get it.
Yeah.
So I got my HP Omen. It's like all black, very slick looking. I really dig it. Got a Dell 27-inch curved, 120 hertz.
Yeah.
Or no, 144 hertz. 1440p resolution.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Again, I've not had it for very long. Haven't played too many things on it yet, but I've got Xbox Game Pass, so it's just like another thing to have to play games that I wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Sure.
And some games at higher fidelity than I've ever been able to play them. So very excited to continue using it. And I got my blue Xbox controller.
Yes.
To play stuff
so we should also mention that Jay has a 3070 now. Right, it's a 3070, the graphics card.
I think.
Yeah, I feel like I probably know more of the specs than you do off the cuff right now. It's a very nice PC for the price. So he's probably gaming like pretty much everything runs at 144. I would guess
mostly, yeah, or at least I haven't tried that many things. But.
Sure, but yeah, no, it's a dope PC. I'm glad that you're finally exploring this world, and it'll be nice because I do think that sometimes you kind of need one console and maybe the PC, or at least two different consoles, because stuff like Inscription I think might only be on PC, or I don't know how many consoles it's on, but it seems like there are games every year that are in like the conversation that you can only play on PC. So that's going to be good for just the podcast in general, but also like I'm excited for you to fully experience PC gaming. And
like I'm still taking like graduate courses and doing like stuff that I was that helped me justify the purchase.
Of course, yeah.
But now I have a PS5, I have a base Switch. So if anything were to come out that I was like I got to play this, I could play it.
Yeah.
And now I have access to all the PC library and Xbox games because they all come to PC now. And I was kind of future-proofing myself because I'm like, if everything Bethesda is about to put out is not on PS5,
good point.
I'm going to need to play them somehow.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So yeah, I'm into that space.
So yeah, send all of your... Do you have a Steam account yet?
I do.
Okay.
I'll get more details about all this stuff.
I was gonna say,
I kind of want us to do a more thorough like breakdown of my PC and like specs and all that jazz, and maybe recommended games.
Sure, yeah.
So
I was
that
gonna
might
say,
be a forthcoming episode.
Send Jay all your PC recommends,
Very
and
true.
we'll get his username, and you all can gift him games. Yeah. So my earlier story that I was going to talk about is just because bouncing off of you getting a new device to play stuff on, I thought of the iPad that I was playing on. So I had one of the weirdest 48 hours of my life.
Hold on. I'm going to circle back to this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is on the list.
All right, go ahead.
Because my one other thing before we get to that is what it's the Christmas Day car crash for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. We've had traumatic things happen
I know.
to
This
both
was
of
so
us.
weird. So Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Typically my schedule goes, well, my whole Christmas schedule is Christmas Eve evening with my grandparents, and then Christmas morning with that same set of grandparents, and then we come back to my family's house for like the rest of the day.
Yeah.
This year, add on the addendum that after that, I was going to my girlfriend's family's Christmas, which they do Christmas Day evening.
Okay.
So I was leaving my house in my car, going to my girlfriend's grandparents' house. And I'm on the way. I'm like 60% of the way there. There's a car in front of me that's, I'm just behind, and then they go to turn into like a side street. So I slow down. They turn. I'm okay, I'm clear. Keep going. I'm not like accelerating very quickly. I'm basically going the same speed that I was going right behind them.
Sure.
Relatively slow.
Yeah.
But instead of turning, what they end up doing is, I guess they didn't realize I was behind them at all. They're going to turn around. So they turn in and then promptly do like a U swerve back out into the street.
Right.
As though they're going to go the opposite direction. And I swerve to the left to try to avoid them, but I'm not going fast enough to avoid them.
Right.
So this is not like a dangerous car collision, but this dude just like very unknowingly just like turns and just runs right into the side of my car. So we both pull off to the side. I immediately check out or get out because like I've never been in a car wreck before. I'm like, okay, call my mom, call my brother who works in insurance, like do all these things. I do that. I go and ask the dude if he's all right. He's just sitting in his car, but he's fine because we were going what, like 10, 15 miles per hour.
Right. Yeah. Not enough to hurt anybody.
But then after I call my mom, call my brother, because those are like my two like 1A, 1B things to do. Oh, and call the cops. I'd never called 911 before.
Oh, really?
So that was fun.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't fun at all.
No, it's never a good time.
But then I promptly text you guys.
Yeah.
And I text my girlfriend. I'm like, "Will be significantly delayed."
That's awesome.
And I think I sent that as one text, and then a follow-up text as to what happened.
Yeah.
Well, then I was just like, I'm pretty sure I was just to you guys like, boys, I was just in a car accident.
Yeah, we were all like, "What the fuck? Are you okay? Like, what the fuck just happened?"
I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just out here in the road, just waiting now. I'm like, I called my dad, and my dad was gonna bring his truck to like trade off with me because the car was still drivable, but I didn't want to drive it, especially if it was like going to be raining. Like,
sure,
and one of my windows
and you're
was
rattled,
broken. And I was rattled. I was like, I would rather just have a normal car.
Yeah.
So he brings that truck. We talk. There's an addendum to this story that I haven't told you.
Oh, okay.
So brings the truck, blah blah blah. He takes the car back to our place, and the cop at the place or at the accident told me he has 10 days to file an accident report.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. And because I asked him, and I did not exchange information with the other guy, which in retrospect I should have done. But then before, like as they were leaving and I was talking to the cop, I was like, hey, can I just get his insurance info? I need to give it to my brother so we can do all the insurance stuff. He's like, it'll be on the report. It should be done within 10 days. I'm like,
right.
Okay, whatever. And they're like getting all the towing stuff. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I learned this 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
2 days ago was 10 business days.
Right.
From when it happened.
Sure.
I called because I'm in the town where it was happening because that's where the report would be filed.
Sure.
And I'm calling ahead to make sure I'm going to be going to the right place to pick it up. It's like the courthouse, was it the police station, like whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I get the sheriff, and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it was like a police department, not a sheriff cop car that responded.
Right.
And he's like, well, the city police department no longer exists, so now it's just the sheriff's office. So I was like, okay. Are you where the files would go?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes. So I tell him who I am. And because we've been kind of doing the runaround trying to get this report for the last 2 weeks, he's familiar with my name.
Yeah.
And he tells me, so the accident was Christmas Day. That was a Saturday. He says the next day, the officer was involved in an officer like shooting. Not that he got shot.
Right.
But there was an incident where like a weapon was fired.
Yeah.
And when that happens, and I didn't know this, the officer goes on administrative leave for 10 days.
Wow.
So the exact window of time, in terms of if it goes by just normal work days, the exact window of time where he was on administrative leave was when my report should have been filed.
Wow.
So like that was just the most unlucky inconvenience that has ever happened.
Right.
So yesterday I am like talking to them, and he finally is able to like, I'm like, look, can you just give me the dude's name and like something about his insurance info?
Right.
He finally gets me enough, and I'm like giving my brother like pieces of information, and then my brother's like, I need more to find this other dude.
Right. It's turning into
an episode finally, I like
Sherlock.
Get the full like policy number, and then my brother calls me. He's like, I got him. So he's like, he's awesome. Already filed a claim. You just need to call this lady, and we'll actually get the process going. Right. But as we'll pivot into our next story, there was just a giant snowstorm here, and I don't think she was in the office, the insurance lady, last Friday. So I called and left her a message, and so now we're waiting for that part.
Jesus.
So now let's pivot to the final story, Snowmageddon 2022.
Yeah, dude, car wrecks suck.
And I got a good story from this, but you got the better story from Snowmageddon.
Okay, so
I'll let you discern how we tell it.
Well, we should just tell how it happened first. So we were told on, Tuesday and Wednesday that Thursday a big snow was going to hit. Now, of course, with any meteorological event, information is different depending on your source. And the source that we had seen at work was basically at 10 a.m., it has like a 15% chance of snowing. At 11, it has like a 30% chance. By noon, it's probably going to be snowing, and that's when we should probably leave the office. Okay, fine. So I go in that morning, nothing unusual about going into work. I drive in. It's like maybe a little bit of snow, but definitely nothing sticking. Like, okay, I figure it's just going to sputter for 3 hours. Then by noon, it'll start sticking. So we are in the office doing our like morning meeting and like getting, okay, this is what all the things we need to do. Here's this client update, blah, blah, blah. And basically by the time we had finished up sort of our morning debriefing, it was too late.
Yeah.
Like this snow hit so fast. I think it hit, what was it, like 3 inches in an hour?
Roughly.
2 or 3 inches in an hour, and then an inch an hour for the next like 6 hours.
Yep.
So this snow just happened. We are not alone in Kentucky that this happened. It happened in Virginia and Tennessee as well. Like the system was pretty big. So by the time we left the office, I should have just worked from home. I even had the option, but I was like, no, I'll prove that I'm game. Like I'm still kind of new at this company. I'm just going to go in. So by the time we're leaving the office, it's a little bit, but maybe like 15 minutes normally between my office and the interstate. Because I have to hit the interstate to come home. And by the time, well, first of all, while we're pulling out, it's already kind of icy and kind of snowy. So everybody's taking it slow, which is totally fine. By the time I get to the interstate, like to take the exit, I literally maybe 15 cars behind as a cop pulls up and blocks the exit. And so now I'm like, well, fuck, what do I do? Like there must have been a wreck somewhere up there. They're blocking this exit. So I'll just take GPS and I'll let it tell me where to go.
Yeah.
So GPS takes me like out of the city into, I mean, this is not too specific, I guess. I mean, I don't really care, but like I am in horse country. I am by the farms and like there's horses and it's beautiful because it's snowing. But it's also stressful as hell because I don't know where I'm at. So I eventually end up knowing where I'm at a different interstate exit, which is actually the one I usually take in, but sometimes don't take out. So at that exit, I see that it's also blocked. And this has been over the course of maybe like an hour and a half of driving.
Yeah.
Because even though they're not that far apart, because of the snow, everybody taking it slow, it took anybody forever to get anywhere, which you experienced as well. Which,
when you get to the end of the first day, I'll jump in and tell all of mine, and you can tell the rest.
Okay, so I get to this other exit. I call one of my, so I work with 2 other people, and they're both kind of my bosses in different ways. One's the art director, creative director, and one is the accounts person. So I answer to both of them, but they're both super nice. I love both of them to death. And she happens to live in the same city I live in, so we're kind of trying to go to the same place. So I've been calling her all day, and we've been calling each other like, what the hell do? We don't know where to go. So by this point, we have found out that the interstate is literally just closed to everyone because there has been this like 50 car pileup somewhere on the interstate, and they just don't know when they're going to be able to clear it. So we end up going to her mom's house, who happens to live in the city we were in. I, at this point, go get McDonald's because I have not eaten, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I don't care. So we go sit at her mom's house, who was very nice, and it was funny because this happened to be January 6th, so they were doing all the like insurrection recap stuff, and she was very anti-Trump, and you could tell early on she was like, well, you know, I know people think different ways, and my boss just goes, he's with us, you're good. And so then she kind of like let loose about how terrible Trump was or whatever. So we sit there, we figure out a plan. And I offer, because I was like, I can go sleep in the office. We weren't that far from the office. There's a couch. I've slept on worse. Like, I could get a lot of work done. I'm cool with that. But they both agreed. They're like, no, we're going to put you up in a hotel because, like, there's no way to get home. And people are being stuck on the interstate for, like, 9-10 hours. We didn't know it was going to be that bad at the time, but we knew people had just been sitting there.
Some people probably slept overnight on certain roads.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a different route to get from that city to our city that's not the interstate, and her husband was on it, and he ended up sitting there for 8 hours. So it was just like, there's no way to get home. So they put me up in a hotel, which is where I ended up, to bring it back to video games a little bit, ended up dabbling in the Apple Game Pass or whatever it's called.
Apple Arcade,
yeah. So I played a little bit of Lego Builder's Journey, which I had actually heard on one of the Kind of Funny podcasts. I think it may have been Andy who played it, who was like, you all, this is legitimately awesome. Like, you should play this. And it was really cute. And I like had a really good time playing it. It might make my like honorable mentions game of the year stuff, but it's really sweet. It's a sweet little puzzle game about like a little, I guess, sort of father-son type of Lego characters. They're just sort of journey, but you're building them bridges that they can get across, and it gets obviously harder like most puzzle games do, but it's really cute, and it was a nice calming thing amidst all the chaos. So go to your day that day.
So I wake up at home that day because I'm not going into work. Snow's coming, work preemptively not happening. So I had sort of planned, like, you know, my car's still out of commission. It's now at the body shop. It's been there. Yeah. They're getting parts to fix it, whatever. So I'm still in my dad's truck that I'm using. And dad's truck is kind of a tank.
Sure.
We took it to the lake.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, all of us fit in there, and we felt like there was like even more space. Like, it was plenty big.
Yeah.
And it has 4-wheel drive. Like, I can get places even in inclement weather in this vehicle.
Right.
So I was like, I'll wake up early the next day, do the work that I need to do at home, get that done, taken care of, and then I'll leave and go basically just bunk down with my girlfriend's house for the rest of this snowstorm.
Right.
I look outside at like 10:30, maybe 11.
Yeah.
Flurries.
Right. It's around the time we left.
So it begins, but yeah, nothing's sticking to the ground. I've got a little bit of time to do some other stuff.
Yep.
I don't have to rush. Like 45 minutes later, I look out, and there is already a pretty thick covering of snow.
It hits so fast.
Yeah, the likes of which I have never seen.
Yeah, it's hard to
hit
even
that
quantify.
Fast. And I think the thing that messed with everybody was the time that it hit.
Yes.
It was nothing in the morning, so people were like, I can go to work.
Yep.
And then it hit so fast that everyone just got trapped.
Yeah, stuck at work, basically.
So at 11:30, 11:45, I was like, oh, I need to go now if I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I immediately throw stuff in a bag, grab my stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. Pull out, automatically, I'm like, I'm going 4-wheel drive this whole way.
Yeah.
Because there's already snow on the roads. And I start in like not 10 minutes. What would normally take me 10 minutes from my house, which took me 20 because I was going about half speed.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is legit. Like, this is a real like snow issue that's going on right now. I get to the basically adjoining town where I would turn and just take one road to get straight to her house. And the road that I would normally take to get to her house is backed up basically to the intersection where I would turn there.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I had said I was not going to go to the grocery because I was like, I'm not going to waste any time getting there.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, things can't get any worse.
Sure, I might as well go.
So I keep going. I grab some gas just in case, because the thought occurred to me. I was like, if something happens, I am not running out of gas.
Yeah.
And this thing has like a tank that's huge. So I was like, I fill up, keep going, go to the grocery, run into my brother at the grocery.
Oh, really?
And it was sort of, he's like, are you going to your girlfriend's house? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, be careful. And then he's like, because he lives nearby and he was just grabbing a few things to take home with him.
Sure.
But he's like, you could take this other way because I told him the normal road was blocked. And I was like, okay. But that way has a very small road, like a 1-lane basically road.
Yeah.
And I was like, if at all costs, I'm going to avoid going that way.
Sure, yeah.
Because the normal road is like a little country, but it's like a 2-lane most of the time, and it expands at points. So I was like, if it were clear, I would be fine there, but it was not.
Yeah.
So I leave the grocery. I say, okay, instead of going back to the main road that I could take to get there, I know a shortcut that basically spits me out further down that road. So hopefully there is an accident that's further back and I'll get down here and I'll be in the clear.
It'll be clear, yeah.
I go that way, which is the road we used to live on, actually, when we lived together. I go down that way and it would spit out down there. And I get almost to where it would intersect. And then I see cars start to come in the other direction.
Oh.
And they start flashing their lights at me.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, something has happened up here.
Yes, yeah.
And I get to like the point where I can just sort of see, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like there's just something in the road. A car probably like spun and something happened.
Yeah.
So I turn around, go back, crawl at this point, because at this point, cars are going like 10 to 15 miles per hour tops.
Yeah, that was the whole day.
So I get back to like the main strip, and I'm like, okay, I know one other way, the way that my brother suggested that I go.
Right.
Which is basically to hop on the interstate, get off on an exit, and go straight, and it takes you on a little country road.
Okay.
I get on the interstate, and this is the moment where I'm like, okay. I start to panic a little bit because I get on the interstate, and at this point, I'm far enough away from like the big city where you work to where the interstate was basically empty.
Sure, yeah.
And I didn't like that part of me because part of me liked it because I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about anybody sliding into me, whatever.
Right.
But I'm also like, I'm starting to feel alone. Yes. And this is like whiteout conditions at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm still able to go like 20 miles per hour plowing through in a 4-wheel drive truck. But I'm like, okay, just get to this exit. Like, you got to just make it to this exit.
Yeah.
And I finally do behind like this other like big, like some sort of delivery, like a UPS van or something.
Sure.
I get off, I turn right, and I get to this 4-way stop. At this point, it's like big road, 4-way stop, tiny road.
Okay, yeah.
And at the 4-way stop, there is a truck, not dissimilar to the truck that I was driving, basically standing up on its head in a ditch.
Oh, no.
But your boy perseveres. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make the same mistake that this person made.
Right.
I'm going to take it slow, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, at this 4-way stop, there is like an old van in front of me.
Okay.
And I'm like, this poor person, like, you're in no shape to be out in this.
Right.
But they're going the exact route that I'm going. So that makes me feel a little better. And they're in front of me.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, you will pave the way for me.
Yeah, you're the trailblazer.
You know?
Yeah.
So we keep going. We go through this 4-way stop, tiny country road. There's a sharp turn that I slide a little bit. I was like, I should have just been going slower. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I had plenty of those.
But then there's a hill.
Uh-oh.
And it's one of those hills that like goes up, levels off, goes up again. I give them so much clearance.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just go for it. And if you make it, I'm coming in behind you.
Yep.
They get up the first one fine. They get about halfway up that second incline and they just stall out.
Oh.
And I go up to about that middle plane.
Sure.
And at that point, I'm like, I am not going to risk them trying to back up and like slide into me.
Yeah.
I am not getting in another car accident
Yeah,
like
you're
2
already,
weeks later.
Yeah.
So I reverse it down this hill.
Yeah.
Because there's no one around.
Right.
There's no one.
Oh, that's
like,
yeah.
Yeah. I just reverse it back down this hill slowly. I'm just like, I go back out. Get back to the interstate. Truck is still there along with like some other people. There's like 4 or 5 cars just stopped at this intersection. People just like, we can't go anywhere.
Right.
But I'm just like, no, that's not going to be me. I'm not stopping. I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So I get back to the interstate again, take the treacherous, lonely drive there on the interstate.
Yeah.
Get back to the main drag where I was at before. And I was like, I'm going to try that main strip. Maybe they've cleared something one more time.
Yeah.
And I get back there. The intersection where it was before is clear. But then I look down and it's moved 250, 300 yards in like the course of like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
And I immediately pull into a parking lot, call my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, I cannot make it there. Like, there is no way to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going home. And she's like, okay, just make it home safely.
Yeah, be safe.
And at that point, I turn around and, just crawl. And Skinny, our friend whose mom lives in our little hometown, was like, yeah, my mom left work at noon and she'd make it home till like 2:30. So he's like, it might take you a while.
Yeah.
I think it took me like an hour and a half.
Wow. Which
roughly.
Normally would be 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but when I pulled in at home, I was like, I was like,
I know that feeling.
yeah. So now I'm at home. I stay that first night at home, and then I make it to my girlfriend's the next day.
Okay.
You did not have such a good time.
No. So, well, first of all, to give even more context, my boss who lives in the city that I work in, it took him 4 hours to get 2 miles. I called him and was talking about the plan and stuff. He was like, yeah, I finally got home going the speed of 2. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, when you can like outrun cars, it's like miserable.
Yeah. It's awful. So, on my way back from the hotel, had a fine night at the hotel, ended up getting beer, got Chinese delivered to me. I was like, I'm going to make the most of this. I did some work.
Yeah. Like a fun little adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Watched an NBA game that I texted you. I was like, someone please watch this.
I was like, okay.
And it was awesome. Just kind of chilled. Made a little run to Target. That was fun. So, getting back out the next morning, the roads were significantly better. They weren't 100%, but they were like mostly just that kind of gross, muddy ice type stuff, which my car can handle fine. And so I am just going to listen to GPS. I don't want to end up anywhere weird. I'm just going to listen to what Google tells me. So I put in my home address, and it takes me basically the way that I mentioned earlier, that you can go without getting on the interstate. There must have been some backup again.
It basically runs parallel to the interstate.
Right. It's literally called like the old way to get there, because before the interstate, that's the way people got between these two towns. So I just listened to it. I'm not paying much attention. I just turn where it tells me to, blah, blah, blah. So I'm behind this semi that is also clearly just listening to their GPS, because I've been behind them for like 10 minutes and they're taking every turn I am. The drive, by the way, probably the prettiest drive I've ever seen. Like, all this snow, again, it's kind of horse country-ish. All these farms and like these lanes of roads that are just nothing but snowy trees. It looks like a Thomas Kincaid painting. Like, it looks gorgeous. So I'm like, okay, this was a shitty day yesterday, but whatever. I've made the most of it. And so I follow the semi. Again, just following my GPS, whatever. And there is this steep hill going down. And I'm like, okay, it's going down. At least I don't have to try to venture up it. It is pretty icy, I can tell. Like, it's obviously, this road is one of those roads that would be on the lesser priority to get cleared with like a snowplow.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, let's do this. So I see this semi just come to a complete stop. And I'm like, at the bend in the road at the bottom of the hill. And I'm like, okay, this isn't great. So, I mean, I'm this far in at this point. I'm already a little bit down the hill. So I start to brake. It does the thing that all cars do in ice, where it's like, it's fighting you a little bit. But I just do the thing you're told. You feather your brakes, and I stop probably halfway up the hill. Or halfway down the hill, I should say. So the semi's at the bottom. I stop, and I can see him walking out. And I'm like, this is bad. So I park and put on my e-brake. And he comes up, and he's like, yeah, so there's an abandoned... Well, he tells me there's 2 abandoned cars at this turn, meaning that he can't get through.
Which a semi has no business being on this road, by the way.
Exactly. That is part of the problem. Had he not been there, I probably would have been fine, but just circumstance, whatever happened, he was probably just listening to his GPS too. I'm not going to blame anybody. So I'm like, okay. I was like, do you think I could get through? Because I thought at first he was just being cautious, stopping before it, and I thought, well, if the semi's here and the car's here, I might just be able to slither through. And he's like, no, I'm on their bumper. I'm like, okay, great. So the semi is basically jackknifed And the car, and sorry for audio listeners because I don't really know exactly how to describe this, but in the bend of the curb is the truck of the semi, bumper to bumper with this like little smaller crossover that we would learn had been there the entire night. So I am just stopped halfway up this hill, and he asked me, he's like, is this all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive? I don't know. I didn't buy the car. It was my mom's car. She gave it to me. So I asked her earlier in the day, and she told me it was all-wheel drive. So I was like, I think it's all-wheel drive. Turns out I think it's front-wheel drive, but it's fine. So he's like, you might be able to reverse it back up, get up to this little driveway, turn around, get out. Okay. So I try to reverse it, go nowhere. Just eats and eats and eats and just does not do anything. And the more I try to reverse it, the further down the hill I'm getting.
It just starts sliding.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, this is a zero-sum game. So of course, which we've talked about, like, I had probably 1 or 2 panic attacks the day before. I probably had several in the course of the course of what would be several hours. So we're sitting there. He's like, I've called the city already. He's like, but if you want to call it, the more people that call, the more dire it's going to be. I'm like, all right. So I call the city, which the guy, I'm sure because of all the snow and ice, had dealt with a lot that day.
Yeah.
But he was not very kind to me and was like, I was like, okay, do you I'm calling about this. He's like, yeah, the guy in the semi called me already. And I was like, okay, well, I'm reporting it too. And he's like, we'll send somebody out there. And I was like, when do you think that would be? He's like, I have no idea. He's like, it's not my call. I'm like, all right, guy, whatever. So then I have AAA. So I call AAA. And they're like, this is probably 10:30 in that morning, 11 maybe. And they're like, okay, we could have a tow truck out by 3. And I'm like, ugh, okay. I mean, I have no other options. I just got to wait because I can't get out myself. So over the course of the next 2-3 hours, of course, I'm a mess because my anxiety does not do well with things like this, especially when it's like car related. I don't know a lot about cars. Yeah, I'm not very knowledgeable about it. So, and especially when you don't know when the cops are coming and you don't know what they're going to be able to do. Like, I was talking to the semi driver and he was like, we might be so far down the hill that a tow truck couldn't even get us out. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And so we're waiting for cops to come. I probably stopped at least 10 cars from venturing down this hill. Anytime I saw headlights, I would jump out of my car and just go like this. Just like, stop. You do not want to be down there. And a couple times people parked, walked down and be like, can we not get down? And I was like, no, please turn around. You don't want to be in this spot. And so some chick came down and I guess had made it just past the point of no return. And when she, like, I'd been able to flag her down and she just got stuck at sort of the top of the hill, not quite, but definitely higher up than I was. So we're sitting there. Over the course of the next few hours, in which I'm trying to manage, I have half a tank, which is not that bad, but I'm trying to manage, like, I don't want to waste my gas. I might be here for like 12 hours. I'm going to try to charge my phone anytime I turn on my car to warm it up. Like, I'm going to call AAA every hour. I'm going to call the city every hour. Like, I was doing as much as I could. And I didn't realize that like 3 cars had been stuck behind her because I could only see up the hill.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, well, if AAA even gets here, are they going to be able to get me out because there's so many cars in front of me? So I'm a mess at this point. My mom tells me, and this is a layer that I don't think I've told you yet. My mom tells me that if, the worst case scenario is probably that we have to leave the cars overnight, let the snow thaw because it was going to get to like 40 the next day, come back and get it. So the cops will just have to take us to someplace. Somebody will have to pick me up and take me either to a hotel or home or whatever. And so my mom tells me that my dad could come pick me up, which I haven't talked to my dad in years. Like, I was like, why does it have to be him? Like, that was just an extra layer of just shittiness on top of everything. So she eventually calls me back and tells me that like she and my grandpa can come get me. So I have my backpack and my stuff to go with the cops to be taken to like a place to be picked up and wait there. As this is happening, one of the guys who had gotten stuck, who I'd talked to, I mean, everybody talked to everybody because there's nothing else to do. He shows up in a mule. If you don't know, not an actual mule. It's like an all-terrain vehicle, I guess. Technically, it's like a it's one of the, like a gator is another type. Yeah. Like it's that kind of thing. He shows up in a mule, and he's like, we got a tractor. and everybody's like, what? He's like, there's a guy, we've got a tractor, we're going to try to pull everybody out. And so the cop tells me, and I'm like, I'm about to get in his car. He's like, if you want to stick it out and see if this tractor can pull you out, you're more than welcome to. I'm like, all right, cool. So this tractor, who just happened to be some guy going to feed his cattle, like, and saw that there was something happening on the road, stopped, like the angel of that this man is.
Welcome to rural Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just sticking out for everybody else. He proceeds to pull the 4 cars behind me out. But my worry, as I'm talking to the cop, I'm like, what do you give my odds? Because I'm pessimistic at this point. I'm like, you know, I am way further down the hill. I'm at the bottom of the hill. You know, everybody else was near the top. Like, the only worry is the tractor going to be able to get traction? Because this thing is so icy. I forgot to mention this. When I was walking back down to my car to wait with my backpack, like, busted my ass falling. And was so worried that I, like, broke my brand new computer. I didn't, thankfully. But, like, just the most stressful day in the world.
Yeah.
But the tractor gets me out, and eventually I get home. I go fill up on gas because I had the same thing you did. I was like, I have to have a full tank of gas. I got some snacks and stuff, but yeah, it ended up being, I was probably stuck for like 5 hours. I think from when I left the hotel to when I got home was like 6 or 7. So
when it would normally be 30.
Yeah,
minutes.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it was a rough weekend, but
yeah, but those texts from you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, I was so hyped.
I'm home.
I was so hyped. I'm like, I'm just taking the interstate. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
It was wild.
So that was the cap to a rather a tumultuous, you know, up and down winter break for the both of us.
True, yeah.
Tanner, at this point, do you have a recommendation for me?
I do, and it's going to touch on the only other real thing I've done over the break. I'm going to recommend Letterboxd. So Letterboxd is a sort of a gamification, if you will, of watching movies. So it is a place where you can track all the movies that you've watched. You can give them scores. You can see what other people... It's almost like somewhere between like a game and like a social media platform for watching movies. I made it my goal at the beginning of the year to watch 100 new movies to me. And by December whatever, I was at like 80. And I was like, ugh, 20 movies in like 20 days sounds pretty hard. And I was able to just do it. I finished with 100 films. And so I've watched, I think, 10 films so far this year that are new. So
You're
basically one a day. Yeah, to hit like 150. So shout out to Letterboxd. It's amazing. I love that platform. And that's been, if you count it as a video game, one of my most played games lately, because I love just being on there.
Yeah. And I can, you know, I've already really done it, but I give my full-throated recommendation to Celeste.
Yeah.
You know? We've talked about the ins and outs. We've touched on the music. We've touched on the gameplay. We've touched on the story. It's a really, really, really great game.
Yeah.
So I hate to give games recommendation before I completed them, but I beat it in like 2 days over the break. So I was like, this is a rock solid entry into my, you know, enjoyable games collection. And you know, to be determined if I go back and try to dig into all the extra stuff.
No,
but
I mean, you've done.
It's one of those games where I think mechanically, every now and then I might get the itch to play it.
Yeah. So that was what happened to me too. Like, I finished it, and then probably like 2 years later, I came back and I was like, I'm gonna try the B-sides, and just kind of broke it up into the like piecemeal thing.
But that is it for episode 28. Welcome to 2022, folks.
We did it.
We'll be back with you soon enough, but until then, we're tapping out.